Hello and welcome to Move the Line, presented by SharpStack. Ryan Noonan, joined here for week 3. Unpack a little bit of week 2. My friend Connor Allen, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, man? Yeah, it was a rough week for me in the prop streets, but I think you absolutely crushed. So, I mean, you love to see that, right? So it's like one of those things where I might not have had the best week, but some of it due to injury, some of it just due to a couple bad plays. But I think you absolutely murdered the slate.
We got to balance it out. I mean, we were talking before we got started here. I feel like when you do this publicly and we are sharing bets and people are tailing bets and subscribe and pay for those things, I feel like we definitely wear the down weeks hard, more. They hurt a little bit more than the good weeks feel good. So I'm trying to feel good about the good week, carry that momentum into week 3. Because look, it's going to happen. I'm going to get, my teeth kicked in here in a couple of weeks, and you're going to absolutely print. And again, hopefully we balance each other out over the course of the years. We also have Hunter and we have, Jake, those guys doing great work as well. And then when we get to the end of the year, we'll all be up and hopefully subscribers are happy we had a good year. Cause you got to think long game. You got to think 22 weeks or whatever, however long we do this. It's a lot more than week to week. You got to just kind of hold on. So I don't feel like you had any bad process bets. You just had some bets that lost. Right. Like that's just kind of, that's how it goes. Injuries are going to happen. That sucks. I mean, the Juice one was, I thought, a great look. Gets, a 5-yard reception right away. He just needed one more. He was involved and then gets dinged up. That's painful.
One of our subs too in the chat was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that H-backs had like over 40 yards receiving in this game, like after in total. And I was like, that makes me feel even worse. We would have easily gotten there, right? It was like, because then they had just put in some randos in there and they were crushing. Juszczyk was going to be using more. This is going to be I bet some ladders. I bet some 15, some 25 plus was 4-1 at one point. that was tough. That one hurt.
Yeah, that is tough. About Patrick in the chat, FanDuel and DraftKings are now giving injury refunds, which is kind of wild. From a customer acquisition standpoint, it makes a ton of sense.
They did give me a refund on FanDuel. I bet it on FanDuel. They did give me a refund. It's funny. I've been putting in some bets for, one of our coworkers, and they're total square bets. And they were for a lot of money. So I was like, man, they're already giving me bonuses. This is great. I'm going to keep putting in these total fish bets. And then I was like, oh no, this is just from Juszczyk. Okay. I was like, they're not that nice just because I put in a couple of fishy bets.
Notre Dame and Bears money lines?
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Amazing.
Literally. All overs.
Yeah. Parlays maybe. Yeah. White Sox money line. All right.
That's illegal, Connor. No. It was my plays. Yeah.
Connor's plays.
Yeah. It was my plays.
One single account. So, all right. Don't forget to check out SharpStack if you haven't yet. Especially, if you're a 4for4 subscriber and you aren't accessing this, we have so many people talking about it in our chats and Discords and stuff like that. Hopefully, you've taken advantage of the free 7-day trial. Again, we have the EV tool, market-based projections in there. They now have market-based projections for college football, which is wild. Pick'em tool working on the underdog stuff. Underdog, the way they do kind of their alt lines and plus money stuff. So getting that back in there is ARB tool and more. Best odds screens for both games and props you'll find out there. 4for4.com/plans. Again, free 7-day trial. Even if you're not a subscriber, just check it out. If you have any questions, let us know. We're happy to walk through it with you and help you make it part of your process. If you want to take advantage of it, you can upgrade from your current account. Use promo code MTL for 25% off. If you're just looking to get involved at 4for4 for the first time, that code works too for new users, 25% off. And again, the SharpStack gets you all the picks and it gets you everything that we do at the site. So articles, tools, projections, DFS, whatever it is, that's included. So take advantage, 7-day free trial. This is our Tuesday show, 11 a.m. Eastern, 4for4 live on the YouTube channel. Move the Line, wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget about Prop Drop Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Connor and myself, John Hyslop, releasing a couple plays each, parlays, uncorrelated. Connor was so close on an uncorrelated last night on Higgins. Jaden Higgins was really close. We gave that out on our Mayo show. We joined Pat Mayo live 10:30 Eastern on Friday or Monday mornings if you want to catch that too. Just kind of our early thoughts and then Monday Night Football thoughts as well. So check that out on Mayo Media Network too. So all right, Connor, jump into some week 2 review, some big storyline takeaways, and I want to look at divisional odds. I don't think we do a good enough job at staying on top of how some of these like future markets kind of come out, and I want to do a better job with that this season. So floor is yours. Top takeaway from week 2, anything you want to touch on, any teams you're maybe adjusting up, adjusting down, floor is yours.
Yeah, I think, well, there's a couple one. The first one here is a game that we, didn't necessarily forget about, but it was last Thursday. The Packers defense is legit. I mean, it's tough, easy to forget because that game is so long ago, but they are awesome. They're getting pressure. They're playing lockdown defense. They made the Lions look ridiculous 2 weeks ago and then they just put up 52 on the Bears. They made a Commanders team that, I think they're still kind of figuring out their kinks and everything, but it's like, I think they're going to be in a good spot, the whole season. So this Packers defense is awesome.
3.5 yards per play for the Commanders. It was a juggernaut offense last year. 3.5 is insane. Yeah, they're a unit.
That was like something that I was going back through all the games, because obviously we watch all the games, forget about a couple, whatever about others. And I was like, man, we got to touch on this, because this Packers defense is extremely legit. Packers now 3rd or 4th, I think, in Super Bowl odds. And it's great because they're not just a good defense, but they run the ball and then they take these crazy deep shots. Like Jordan Love is kind of fun. It's fun to watch. Not super consistent, but that's okay. I like watching that. I think it makes the viewing experience significantly better. Their receiver rotation is going to be a little bit interesting now with Jaden Reed likely out for a while. Maybe even more Tucker Kraft. Kraft is really coming on, I think, showing his full potential. So, I think there's 2 ways to look at it. Is like, yes, they don't have like an alpha receiver necessarily, but it also means that there's no, you can't just bracket one guy. Like, you're going to have, Dontavian Wicks running deep downfield, potentially 65 yards. He might drop it, but he's not going to be, they're not going to bracket that guy. It's like, so I think it makes it more multiple, and that's kind of a unique angle. Obviously they'd love to have Matthew Golden step up or Savion Williams or anything like that, but we'll see. I'm confident the Packers keep it up, to be honest.
I am too. Again, they were both home games, but those are 2 absolutely dynamic offenses from last year. And I don't think, again, we thought there could be some regression for Detroit, post Ben Johnson, and that would make sense. Some losses up front along the offensive line, but still playmakers. Then when you see what they went and did in week 2, you're like, okay, this is still a dominant, elite top 5 offense. And they got their lunch handed to them in a pretty big way in the division in week 1. So yeah, it's like Packers now currently the favorite on DraftKings plus 320 to win the NFC. Eagles at 360. Basically both double where Detroit is. And you're right. They are 3rd on the Super Bowl odds list behind Buffalo and Baltimore. So we've shifted.
How early is too early?
It's early. It's not too early, buddy. The equity is. I've already looked at those tickets a couple different times, and it's not too early. Connor and I, if you missed our divisional preview series preseason, both picked pre-trade, which I think it's important to specify there. Pre-Micah trade, we're on Packers and Ravens. We both had Packers Ravens Super Bowl, so we immediately had to bet that. Both outcomes, Packers to win the NFC, lose the Super Bowl, and vice versa off of the Ravens. So yeah, it's not too early, but feeling good.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just, they're a good team. They're going to be in contention here in the NFC. Like, it's them, it's the Eagles. I think pretty clear teardrop after that for me, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I could free roll the Super Bowl for, a big old fat Super Bowl card. Free rolled would be pretty nice.
I'm already telling you what's going to happen is we're going to get like a Packers, Bills Super Bowl or Packers Chiefs Super Bowl or something and get totally screwed and be right. And then the Packers will lose. So none of our Packers Super Bowl tickets will cash either. I think I got a Packers NFC ticket somewhere, but I don't think I have as much on it as the other 3 or 4 things that I bet.
Yeah, I had already bet Ravens, Super Bowl, and it was like, all right, well, now we definitely have to fire. So yeah, there'll be hedge opportunities when we get there. It's a little bit easier to hedge if we get to conference championship game. We have all 4 teams, we have both teams remaining there, so we could figure some of that out. But yeah, those line movements are pretty fascinating. And currently Green Bay minus 200 to win the division on DraftKings as well. So Yeah, and again, look, they won against Detroit, so it's like they have that extra half lead too, right? The head-to-head advantage. So,
Yeah.
how about the Bengals?
Yeah, go for it.
Post Burrow Bengals. We did a little bit of this with Pat yesterday. We've seen Jake Browning. We've done this before. It looks like 3 months. I don't know. And I feel like that's speculative. So you're probably looking basically anywhere from maybe like week 14 to like missing the entirety of the season. What are your thoughts on the Bengals? Are we viable at this point? I mean, I think you had them outside the playoffs to begin with in the AFC. So I can't imagine that you're bullish on the Browning-led Bengals.
Yeah. So what are they? 2-0 right now, technically, right? I believe so.
Yeah,
but then the next 4 games are real tough, man. At Minnesota, at Denver, against Detroit, at Green Bay. That's a real tough slate. I mean, Minnesota's, their offense hasn't looked good at all with JJ McCarthy. He's out. But their defense has still looked great, I would say, for the most part. So this is a really tough matchup, I think, for Jake Browning. I mean, Flores is just going to like send the house. Maybe Jamar gets loose on a couple of long ones, but that's brutal. Denver's a really tough matchup. Detroit, again, I mean, they're still a good team. And then Green Bay defenses looked lights out. So, and all of those three of those 4 games are on the road. It lightens up a little bit after that, but like, I mean, Browning's got to survive these next 4 games, and I'm not sure they do. They already brought in some QB competition. I mean, QB competition in air quotes, Mike White,
Sure.
and they're talking about maybe adding someone else, maybe a Kirk Cousins, maybe a Jameis Winston, something like that. Neither of those would surprise me either, to be honest. So I'm a little worried. I'm not going to lie, at least for the next couple of games.
Yeah, I think it's hard to be optimistic, especially as you mentioned, the next month is kind of a daunting task. And again, they start heading into this 2-0. And again, Browning has reps. We've definitely seen some iterations of this offense with him, and he's been okay. And, they just can't have a normal season. And it's a week to week thing. I'm kind of with you. I think this is a tough ask coming right out of the gate with, taking on Minnesota, who is such a unique team to game plan for. It's not a team that you play often. They're not in conference. They're obviously not in your division. So just something that you don't see a lot of, which I think makes it a pretty interesting matchup. So we'll see where's that line now. Again, we're waiting on some injury information, but as we have seen in weeks past, this matters less and less. Like these games just get posted. They're not super worried about, getting crushed in anything that can happen injury wise. These games just go up on the board.
It's great because our look ahead lines tool at 4-4 still like is plugging in like live look ahead lines throughout the season. So it's kind of cool. I mean, they're dogs in the next 4 straight games, but only 3-point dogs against Minnesota, only 3-point dogs at Green Bay in week 6. I mean, I would bet that right now. I mean, Packers minus 9.5 alt, Packers minus 3, minus 6.5, 7, whatever you want to bet. I think they're probably good too, because they might just absolutely demolish this Bengals team.
Yeah. How about the Colts? Colts are, I mean, this is fascinating to me. Look, you can't argue with the results. And again, the caveat that this is without a doubt the best surrounding cast that Indiana Jones, I guess we're no longer doing Danny Dimes, is now Indiana Jones, has ever played with, right? Like they are sizable favorites to win the division. Suddenly they are plus 130. The Jags are plus 2.25. The Texans at plus 270. The Titans, their matchup this week, are at 13-1 to win the AFC South. Should we be jumping on the Colts bandwagon at plus 130 to win the division? What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, I like the Colts. We talked about it a little bit, but like I think the Colts are good, but I think that the value here is probably just kind of buying low on the Texans, in my opinion, here. Honestly, this one, they're like plus 270. The offense did look better at times last week, I thought, especially early in the game. End of the game, not so much. Todd Bowles kind of just started firing all cylinders and like sending some heat, and Stroud and Nick Caley had just no answers basically for that. But I mean, like Nick Chubb is still looking better. They're using more Woody Marks. Like I'm sure they're going to get Christian Kirk back, who I think will actually make a big impact, just like on their like the short passing game and everything there. So I think, and their defense is still really, really good. So I think that the Texans are a good buy low spot. That being said, the Colts, Like they are right now. I mean, they played 2 awesome games offensively. They're third in EPA, third in success rate offensively. Now, again, one of those games was against Miami. So how much do you discount that? But they played against Denver, and they played awesome against Denver. And I think there's some stock that should be put into that. And then we got coming up here Tennessee this week. And we got the Rams, the Raiders, the Cardinals, Chargers, and then the Titans again. They're going to be underdogs in a couple of those games, which makes sense. But I think that they're pretty live to keep winning a couple of those games as well and just be like maybe 500 going forward and win some other games they shouldn't. So, like, I think they're in contention to win the division, but I don't know if they're as like good as their metrics say right now. I guess that's fair.
Yeah. Any Jags thoughts? I mean, Patrick's calling out to schedule getting easier here. Obviously, they won week 1. We obviously didn't think it was in exciting fashion considering what we think of the Panthers, and the Panthers continue to confirm most weeks, and then didn't take advantage of a Burless Bengals team last week. Obviously they're not firing on all cylinders. We have some concerns about, like, there's just, I don't know, I feel like big media, mainstream media gives Trevor Lawrence a pass continuously. Like, he just rarely get, and again, I'm not watching the talking head shows on ESPN, but I don't know that we're getting a lot of Trevor Lawrence segments. It's like, what's going on here? And just seems to be kind of just a jag, literally, and not necessarily a talent elevator. What are your thoughts on Jacksonville?
I mean, Liam Cohen has beef with like Brian Thomas and Trevor Lawrence. For sure. I mean, you saw the video. It was like Trevor, like, Liam Cohen was yelling at him, like, basically, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Just do like what I'm telling you. And Trevor Lawrence kind of gave him like the nah wave, from the sideline. I mean, first off, that is wild to do to your head coach. Clear lack of respect there. 2, Brian Thomas, just like, I mean, the Brian Thomas tape, there's been some cut ups on there that are just like rough, not going to contact, giving up on plays, didn't go for the fumble. I don't know what's going on there with him. Like, but this is not clicking. This is not like the upside Jag scenario we talked about. That seems pretty out of reach at this point. Outside of the running game looks good. Everything
Texans,
else bad.
Texans, Niners, Chiefs, Seahawks, Rams. That's not great. Like, that's not, I mean, they could win some games in there, but like it might line up a little bit. I don't know. It looks like it gets light late. And not necessarily, coming up again. The Texans, we have questions. I have questions for sure, but I think that they probably in the division have the best singular unit. I think the Texans defense is better than any other unit in that division. And that helps. And you got to go on the road to the Niners, Chiefs, Seahawks, 3 straight home games, but that's, Chiefs, Seahawks, Rams is a tough stretch there. I don't know. I'm not buying the Jags.
We buy them after the bye. Buy a little bit of a dip here because then it's like a lot of easier games down the stretch there. But it's not good right now. The vibes are really bad. It's not a team that I want to bet on particularly. I think the under in that game is interesting in Jags Texans. I don't know. I mean, that Bucks Texans game looked like it was going to shoot out last night and then just completely stalled. I was like, oh boy, I'm wrong on this one. Like, this game's going to be like 30-30, and then ended up being 2019. And after 27 points in the first quarter, something like that, first quarter and a half.
Yeah, and it held forever. Yeah. It's tricky in the division because I don't necessarily buy into the Colts stuff, but I'm also kind of just overall down on Houston's offense, and this Jacksonville slate is tricky. So it's just it's a wait and see. So I guess maybe it makes sense that they're one. There's not a bet that I would make now. I think you can monitor it moving forward, but I think there's just going to be some attrition. They're going to beat up against each other. I think those 3 teams kind of beat up against each other, and the Titans can win some of those games too, right? Like, I don't think that we think the Titans are awful, not a threat to win the division, but not awful. Right? They could be competitive. So, that's a tricky one. And good for Daniel Jones. I mean, we liked Shane Steichen, believed in that.
Right.
I thought they've had a lot of good drafts over the last handful of years. Jeff's in the chat. Jeff loves to drag me for any pro Colts sentiments that I've had over the last couple of years, but they just think that they've ended up a bunch of guys that I like late in the draft, and they end up drafting a bunch of them every single year. I'm like, all right, well, they're putting a collection of athletes together that I really like. I feel like the coach might be encouraging and maybe get something out of them. So we'll see. Again, wrong on Anthony Richardson, but Daniel Jones steps in and is getting it done. So
yeah, when they're scheming up plays like that, Tyler Warren's just like an absolute stud already, crushing. Michael Pittman's playing well. Josh Downs came on really strong last week as well. Like, when things are happening like that, Shane Steichen's in his bag and Daniel Jones is delivering. So, and Jonathan Taylor is, playing like 95% of the snaps, looks awesome. That helps too. So like, I think the bull case that, you made in the offseason for the Colts potentially being good, it's kind of panning out. And like, their defense isn't necessarily good, but when you have, Big Lou back there, sometimes you can make some stuff work. Like they'll do some crazy shit that, people haven't seen or like, aren't expecting, and he'll make it work.
Yeah. They're going to give up some explosives. They did last week too, but it was enough to win, and they benefited from a call. That was, the leverage call is real. I understand why it's in play. It just feels like it's one of those rules that just doesn't get enforced all the time. And it feels like a late fourth quarter game winning time is just, it almost has to be egregious in my opinion. And it didn't feel like it was, but
how many times do you think like Vegas made the call was said, throughout America when that happened?
I'm sure you could do a Twitter search and I'm sure you could find it for sure. Yeah. It's just like, it is fun to go ahead and look at like any big time popular prop pick. He goes down early in the game and just like people tagging FanDuel and DraftKings and be like, you better fix this. And like, it's just, it's just the egregious people wanting their refunds. And now they're just like, you know what? Leave us alone. We're building it into the game. We're refunding you if these guys get hurt. Right. It's so terrible.
Oh, it's so ridiculous. Terrible. Brian brings up a good point here too. Shane Steichen settling for 55-yard field goal because I think there was like 9 seconds left with the timeout. Yeah. He like handed the ball off for like a 3-yard gain or something like that. And so it ended up being, from like a 59 to like a 55-yard field goal. I'm personally probably trying to get a little more aggressive there. But I don't know, because he missed the first attempt before the leverage call. So, bad process, good results, I guess, if that's where we're going with.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is wild how many guys just routinely make 50-yard field goals these days. Like, there's just 20 years ago was not a thing. Like and now like you get the ability to start at the 40 or 35, but 40 if you don't kick into the landing zone. All of a sudden you need like 2 plays, like for Brandon Aubrey, you need a first down and you're in field goal range. It's like, it's nuts. Yep. So
yeah,
we saw that last week, right? A ton of overs. Yeah, the insane amount of 60+ yard field goals and just games going over. Just you're never out of it. And the kicking ball, the new kicking rules and all that stuff. It's kind of insane. I want to shift to the NFC North because this is an interesting one. Packers, as we laid out, the favorite here, minus 200 in that division. Again, leg up on the Lions because they won the first head-to-head. Lions 270. Minnesota also, again, a divisional win against the Bears. Kind of an egg laid on Sunday night, plus 750. Now we have questions about JJ and how long he'll be out. Bears 35-1 now to win the division. 2 losses in the division, which complicates things here. Obviously starting 0-2, pretty strong history of, it's basically obviously magnified early in the season. But some of the work, and shame on me, I forget who did the work, and basically an 0-2 start, you're basically a 10% chance to make the playoffs. Although that is no different than if you lose 2 games in a row at any point in the season. It just obviously is magnified because you're 0-2. You're right. There's the optimism of coming into the season and all of a sudden you haven't got to win yet. But it doesn't look good for Chicago either, which is compounding the problem. We're here locally. We obviously hear it a little bit more. We have, we're not Bears fans. I'm not going to tell Mayo. Mayo thinks you're a Bears fan. I'm going to let that ride out on Monday mornings.
I like it. Yeah.
But we're in proximity of Bears fans often. And I feel bad for them, to be honest. Like, I like when the Bears are good. I like when there's optimism in the city, new head coach, first round pick, spend a bunch of money in free agency. It doesn't look good, Bob. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is the defense right now, to be honest. So like, I know, like, I don't know, maybe I'm a Caleb apologist. Like, he keeps playing better. I don't know. He played better last week.
I
It
agree.
wasn't perfect. It wasn't like awesome by any means, but I mean, it wasn't necessarily terrible. Like, he still has a lot of problems. Ben Johnson said the same thing. He's like, I got better. Wasn't great, but it was still like, it's getting better. And I agree. He's putting the ball a little bit further downfield. That looks good. The defense is a problem when you have no Kyler Gordon, you have no Jalen Johnson. The defense actually played fine when Jalen Johnson was on the field. Like, they got a couple of 3-and-outs in the second quarter, like early in the game. Like, it was like 14-7-ish, something like that. Like, the Bears were hanging in there. Jalen Johnson goes down, and I mean, they're just a turnstile again, like basically back to the fourth quarter of the Vikings game. And like, anything that the Vikings wanted to do, they got in the fourth quarter. Anything the Lions wanted to do, they got it. It was like easy game for them. And so I think we just drastically underestimated like how bad the secondary might be without those two guys.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who are their starting corners without those two guys at this point? I don't even know right now. It's like, I mean, there was Nahshon Wright, and then
he's like still going to be. And now Jalen Johnson is out for longer. So
like
Tyreek Stevenson played almost every snap against Detroit. I think go particularly well, which is common with Tyreek Stevenson. So it's not great. And now again, Jalen Johnson out for an extended period of time. TJ Edwards in the middle of that defense. Out with a hammy, comes back, re-aggravates the hammy. He's going to be out for an extended period of time again. So these are, important injuries, and, not necessarily cluster at a position, but cluster in terms of starting key contributors, right? The loss of Edwards and Gordon, right? Gordon's a corner, but he's a slot corner, and he's a dog. He really helps their run defense. Those guys being out really makes an impact. And then Jalen Johnson is, an alpha top 5 lockdown coverage corner. And you laid it out. I mean, he mattered when he was out there, and he, when he wasn't, it did too. So, and now he looks like he's out for, a very long time. That's a problem for them. So it's really hard to be optimistic for anything Bears wise.
When you think about like what Ben Johnson wants to do holistically, like if you can't defend the pass like at all, if you can't defend the run all that well, and you can't run the ball on your own, it makes just like you have one facet of the game that you're basically relying on to carry it. And it's Caleb, who is really too inconsistent right now to really do that. Like, yes, he makes some awesome plays occasionally, but on a play-to-play down basis, it's not great. And you can't just go out there and throw the ball because he'll get eaten alive. It's not going to be great. So you need some kind of foundation of running game. They have one of the worst running games in the league. I think Mina Kimes tweeted out, it was like dead last in EPA and success rate in their running game right now. And like, that's a huge problem like for Ben Johnson. I think he doesn't need to like run the ball all the time, but you need some semblance of like 4 or 5 yards occasionally on the running game. Otherwise, like it makes the passing game like, I mean, again, they're just going to sit back and like light boxes, sit back, and it makes it really, really tough, even with good receivers. So I mean, I don't want to like throw in the flag here. They're favored against Dallas this week at home. I mean, I think they're going to lose. I think
they got to win that game. I mean, what are we talking about anyway at this point? I mean, got to win the game for what? Like in the sense that like, we were, had concerns that they were a playoff team to begin with.
Yeah,
it's tricky. I mean, obviously they're not a threat to win the division. But I think it's really important for the development of Caleb and what that is moving forward for them to show a little bit of a pulse and a little bit more competitive play. Now, again, they were obviously competitive in week 1 and showed out. And I think a lot of times when we're talking about like, offensive coordinator scheme and all these things, we're often talking about the passing game, right? We have high expectations of Ben Johnson and what he can come in and do with Caleb. It's what they can do through the air. But like Ben Johnson was designing an electric running game in Detroit as well, right? Behind an elite top 3 offensive line and 2 really strong above average backs, 1 absolutely electric back. They do not have that. But part of that can
DeAndre Swift sucks, dude. I know he had a couple good runs early. I think he blows. I mean, I just couldn't be more out on him. He ran through some open holes early, some great run plays during the scripted plays. Couldn't run it all after that. I mean, just it's a mess. It is a complete mess.
Down bad. Yeah, it's not great.
I got 2 other quick notes real quick, 2 like quick hitters. I think the Niners are going to keep finding a way to make it work with their soft schedule and the whole team injured. Mac Jones, I thought, played pretty well down the stretch, almost threw for 300 yards with again, three backup tight ends as his top targets, and Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. So I think they're going to make it work. And then I think the Browns offense might start to go run heavier with Judkins back, because they kept passing a lot and Flacco just got eaten alive. Now, Green Bay this week, at Detroit next week, Minnesota the week after. Not a great slate here. You think Flacco survives that stretch? I think they might
physically? Yeah.
Physically. Both physically or just in general.
He's my age. He's dropping back 95 times through 2 games or something. I mean, that's a tough ask. Yeah. I mean, probably not at some point when you're hey, we're pretty terrible. And their defense can be competitive and keep them in. And again, that game, 41-17 against the Ravens wasn't that. I think it gets skewed late, the scoop and score from Roquan, and that game was a little bit tight. So the defense can keep them in games and at least allow them to be competitive. But at some point you need to see what you have in the kids that you drafted when you know that you get to October, to your point, turning the page a little bit. You need to kind of get an understanding of, do we feel like we have something here depending on where we land in the draft? Do we need to go out and address the position again? Do we have maybe 1 or 2 answers? Is this a quarterback battle we can go into next season with Gabriel and Shador? Or do we have an answer with one of them, right? You need to get that answered sooner than later, I think, to your point. So, but that was the point to begin with. It was all right, do you want to start the season with Flacco? Give your fan base the thought of us being a little bit competitive. We're going to throw out the veteran and see what we can do. But you kind of have to shift gears sooner than later, especially the slate that you laid out, what's happening here. So maybe even week 3, I think always makes sense to us when you look at that extended bye, where you play Thursday night and you'd have technically 10 games or 10 days before you get into that week 4 game, to allow the rookie to get a little bit more of a ramp up into it, but feels a little early. I think we see Flacco for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Well, I mean, we'll see. It's not not like they have a ton of upside. I think Flacco provides them the most passing upside right now and stuff. But I mean, you never know. I mean, Gabriel could be fine. Shador could be fine. Who knows? We have no idea. They're just I feel pretty good that they're not going to be all that good, but I don't know. It's not like we're great QB evaluators, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah. You said you had a couple. Did you have another you want to bring up?
No, it's the Niners ones and the Browns ones.
Okay.
I guess one other futures market though, least wins. I was still seeing, I don't even know if this is right. Dolphins and Jets are both still 9-1. They're 5th or 6th in odds. Is that right?
Doesn't seem right.
I mean, maybe the table just hasn't updated or something like that. Cause we got what is it under futures? And then it's
fewest wins. Yeah. Saints plus 360, tie with the Browns. Giants are 6-1. This is DraftKings. Panthers at 7-1. Titans, Jets, Dolphins, all 9-1. So technically they're both tied for the 5th shortest odds. Bears next at 13.
Yeah, it's live. I found it on DraftKings because I was worried oh, maybe our screen just hasn't updated or something like that.
Yeah, I'm looking live on DraftKings too.
I mean, I think the Jets and Dolphins are the 2 worst teams in the league right now, or two of the 3, maybe Panthers too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think the Giants are the worst team in the league. Their schedule is brutal.
Yeah, they're going to keep losing, unfortunately. Well,
Saints and the Browns, I get why they're the favorites. They're not good football teams. But yeah, I mean, there are some bad teams. And again, it's a sizable drop down from the Bears. I mean, you have those top 8 teams, Bears at 13, and then you drop down to Raiders, Texans at 40. So it's definitely the market's telling you it's an 8-team race, which is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Browns might win some games that they shouldn't down the stretch. I mean, they almost beat Cincinnati. They should have beat Cincinnati early. They weren't, I mean, they kept the game close for a little bit against the Ravens. That wasn't necessarily that bad. They're going to win some games that they shouldn't, for sure. The Saints, The Saints are pretty bad. We've been betting against them a lot, and they're a tough sell for me. But the Giants, I mean, they got some juice in pass rush. They dropped 37 on a team. Like that's way more than you can say for any of these other teams.
Yeah.
And then the Panthers, I mean, that was pathetic. Like an awful performance. Like I don't know what's going on there, but it's a complete disaster. The fact that they scored 22 points is like only because the Cardinals corners got injured, right? I think Patrick brought that up in the chat too.
Yeah, the entire secondary went down. I shared that with you yesterday in the morning. We were like, little like ESPN notes about Bryce Young finally figured it out in the second half. It's like, the 3 starting cornerbacks for the Cardinals all were out of the game, and are probably out. At least 2, I think, are going to be out for this week against the Niners. That was something I bet right away. You get Niners getting points at home is 8 points, but that shifted a little bit. But we're still under 3, which I think is a really strong look. But yeah, I got the Dolphins preseason fewest wins, your worst record. Feel good about that. And then we all feel like there's like a systemic bottom that could fall out here, right? Like trading guys, coach fired, entire change. The vibes at quarterback and receivers are so bad. Like he's just, Tua's almost oversharing on some stuff that's going on in terms of like where like things broke down. And it's just like, but that was what Tyreek was doing. Like, hey, why is A-Chain our like goal line back? Like, I just feel like we probably would score more if we put someone that's just like, there's just this weird dynamic of everyone's just like being really honest. It's not great. So yeah, Miami, Brian's got in the chat. Offshore, you could probably find something similar though. Under 5.5 wins there for Miami there. But yeah, you can check that out. I think that's probably a decent look. But yeah, I mean, first coach fired. I don't see that up, but I think he was like, I don't know, minus 450.
Some books, like most domestic books, are pretty weird about like posting that kind of stuff. Like,
I get it.
Yeah, it's just
they're partners with the league, and it's like it's messy. Speaking of messy, I'm gonna do this. I'm very reluctant to. Okay, he's still up here. All right, Tommy's still here. He's forever here in my heart. Thoughts on Brady in the booth last night, headset on with the Raiders? It feels like kind of a conflict of interest. It's kind of messy. Do you have any thoughts on? I'm going to allow you some space to cook here if you want to. Talk a little shit on Tommy.
So I don't know. Maybe I have a hot take here, but like I kind of think it's overblown. Like,
okay.
Here's my take.
I thought you were all right.
Here's my take on it. I think that there is a conflict of interest if the coaches are being entirely forthright with Brady in their preseason meetings and like anything like, or like pregame meetings. Why would they do that? They're not going to, like, they owe this guy nothing. The amount of times that you hear an announcer say like, oh yeah, we were talking with the coach before the game and they said this guy was going to be a huge part of the game plan. And he touches the ball like once. Like that happens all the time. You know what I mean? Like they have no obligation to be honest. So Brady can meet with whoever. Like he can tell the coaches, like the coaches don't have to say shit. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what's going on in that meeting, but like it's just Brady asking questions about like I think who he should be prepared for, like who he should be prepared for to like talk about and stuff like that. He can tell him whoever he wants. I don't know. Like I get it. It's a little bit weird. I mean, I understand, especially after the little Patriots cheating allegations throughout his tenure.
Allegedly,
but I don't know. Like, I just don't think that it's that big of a deal because teams like, I mean, maybe there are some stupid teams. The Raiders play the Bears in a couple of weeks. Ben Johnson's probably telling them every trick play, they got going on there. But like, most teams are just going to lie or say whatever. I don't know. Be like, oh yeah, we love DeAndre Swift. We love Luther Burden could be a big part of our offense. Like look out for him. I don't know. Like to me, that's kind of what's going on. But maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. Is that, what do you think? Like, do you think it's a big conflict of interest or do you think it's overblown?
I think it's a bad look.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not a good look. And like, it's blowing up on Twitter, but I just think that I just don't think that it's like matters all that much. But I mean, the Raiders just got fucking skunked, like they, 20-9. Like, I don't know.
I think a lot of what you're saying is correct. I think, there are, and again, like there's something to be said for the uniqueness of having to meet with Brady, if you are thinking about like what you typically share in those meetings and you have to change it, like that's a different dynamic for teams. And I don't know. It brings up too many questions. But at the same time, like he seems pretty clear about what he can and can't do and what he's allowed to do. He also like just has some rules about what he can and can't do anyway, in terms of like announcing with like how he has to handle, critiquing coaches and players and refs with his position. So the dynamic is different. I think overall, first of all, he's better than he was last year at calling games, which is not surprising that he would grind and, ensure that he's good at what he's doing. And I will, to my death, justify most of, the actions of Tom Brady. He was fantastic for me and my fandom for 20 years. And I just think it's a bad look. And I don't know. It is blown up, and it makes sense. And look, he's a lightning rod for those things anyway, because of the history of, Patriots allegations and stuff like that. So it's even more, compounding because it's the greatest of all time, has been involved in a handful of these different scenarios. And now it's like, what are we doing this time? It's a little messy. So I saw it on the screen. And I was like, oh no, I didn't even open the app. Like, I know where this is going. Like, I saw it and I'm like, that's not great. But he's got the headset on and it's just like, he's up in the booth. Like, he's not hanging out with, the Davis family. He's like hanging with Chip,
Right.
Not necessarily hiding, but like, he's just kind of low key. Like, yeah, it's not great, but didn't matter last night. That's for sure.
I wonder. I mean, maybe we'll get like I don't know, some 30 for 30 on in a couple of years, something like that, and be like, oh yeah, he was actually, knew all this stuff, or like was feeding them intel or something like that. But yeah, I think it's probably just like it looks so bad, but I just don't think like logistically it's going to end up mattering that much. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, in the chat, like Brian's talking too, like I don't even think it's necessarily like game plan specific to.
Yeah.
Like, you just can get like big picture thoughts on how these teams think about these players, and Brady's involved in obviously the pre-draft process now and the free agency. Like, it is not necessarily something that I think could play itself out from like a week to week edge that you got in a meeting and took to this game.
Right.
But I think it can be bigger picture of player evaluation, schematic, like just there's other things other than just like X's and O's on the field. So
yep,
that's all. Chiefs are 0-2, Connor. They lost 3 games in a row because they lost the Super Bowl. I'll be worried.
Plus 300 to win the division after an 0-2 start.
Kind of crazy.
Wild. I mean, I think almost like it's not a clear path forward of what it looks like, but I almost want to blindly buy it just because, I mean, I don't know. It's like, there's Giants, then you play the Ravens, which is really tough, but then you get Jags, Lions is tough, then you get Raiders again, Commanders, like Buffalo. So there's a lot of tough games mixed in there, but like, could they come out of this whole mix 500-ish? Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. And then you're squarely in play probably to still win the division, unless the Chargers end up, keep mowing guys down. The problem is though, is like the receiving core is just so bad. Like, I mean, it's a bunch of bums. Like, they tried to get Noah Gray involved, 5 targets, 1 catch for 1 yard. Mahomes looked awful. They can't run the ball at all. Their defense is, I think, still solid, but not like quite playoff caliber Spags level at this point. So I think blindly buying the dip here is probably actually a smart decision. I just don't know. Like, I can't tell you how it's going to happen, but I think that the Chiefs are going to find a way to like be competitive in the division.
I kind of like it. The receiving core is bad now, but we're going to get to a point where Xavier Worthy is at least like practicing football a little bit. So it seems like it's trending to something where he can be back, even in a month. He's probably back before that. But I mean, that exceeded expectations when it happened, right?
Totally. I mean, well, it's going to be crazy. So like, he could probably play in like a couple of weeks. He's just not gonna be able to go for like jump balls. Right. So like, he can, like, if you give him like a crosser and he like catches it, he can still run. He can keep it close. Like, that's not going to impact him. It's like, if you're going up for a jump ball and he gets hit here, his arm is going to pop back out again. Like, again, as someone who's done this 30 times in my life at this point, torn labrum, same thing that he has basically. And it's very uncomfortable and it's not great, but like, you can still do stuff. You can still run. You can still like be athletic, which is, I mean, predominantly what he's doing anyway. So like, it wouldn't surprise me that much if he just wears a brace, keeps him, keeps him in that, and like is good to go in a couple of weeks, honestly.
Yeah. It's interesting. I like it. I don't know that now is the best window to buy it. I might. So the Chargers keep rolling. Yeah, because look at, the Chargers. It's interesting what happens with the Chargers this week. The Chargers beat the Broncos, then they get the Giants the next week. It's on the road, but there's a shot that they're 4-0 heading into their Commanders game. Because I referenced that just because the Chiefs are playing week 4 against Baltimore, right? So then you all of a sudden look at probably a 1-3 start.
Yeah.
But then your next 4 are Jacksonville on the road. But then your next 3 after that are home. Lions, Raiders, Commanders. Not super easy schedule, but all at home. And now you're getting a spot where probably Worthy's back. Maybe Christian Fulton's back and healthy. Maybe Rashee Rice is back, right? And all of a sudden you're kind of getting into it. And the nice part for them is that if they can kind of stay in that range where they can stay 500-ish heading into, that game in Buffalo in week 9, your divisional games are down the stretch. That's you get the Broncos twice late when you get the rest of your guys back. Your other game, week 15 against the Chargers, ends up being a really massive game for them because they're already going to be down from a, head-to-head version. They need to win that Chargers game. You're probably going to be healthy, right? But then there's some other Titans, Cowboys, Colts. Like, it's definitely softer later. So I want to watch the price. I don't think it's interesting right now. It might be better after week 4 if they lose to the Ravens and the Chargers are 4-0, and then the Chiefs are 1-3. That could be closer to maybe 4 or 5 to 1, and that would be pretty interesting.
I like it. That's probably the best angle. I agree with you.
Yeah.
We also got Patrick saying, think we see Herbert line at 14.5 rushing yards anymore. No shot. I mean, we're gonna probably
maybe like 17.5 or 18 because he didn't get crazy, right? He didn't like, that was what I was begging for. I had some ladders, but I was just hoping they didn't go bonkers, and he didn't. Mm-hmm. But like I'm in like trying to run a little bit more thing is 1,000% real. It jumped off the page in the screen in the first quarter there. So yeah, if we still see him line in the high teens or right around 20, I'm still in. I'm in again for sure.
Love it.
So
love it.
Yeah, we'll look for that one. And then against next couple of weeks, Broncos, Giants, teams that are going to get pass rush and create him ability to scramble, flush him out a little bit. So that helps. That's nice too.
Totally.
All right. Any other divisional things, or you want to touch on some week 3 lines that you like?
No, yeah. Let's fire some week 3 stuff.
All right. I touched on the Cardinals Niners game. The Cardinals are decimated in the back half. And part of my handicap coming into the season where I thought the Cardinals were going to be a playoff team is that secondary had the potential to be much better than people think. And it looks like, and again, it's Tuesday morning. We're not going to get a real injury report until tomorrow afternoon. They're probably without 2 for an extended period of time, Max Melton and Garrett Williams. And Garrett Williams is a really, really, really good slot coverage corner. Will Johnson, second-round rookie, also left with a hammy injury. I think he sounds like he might be okay, but that's not great. So all of a sudden, they're taking themselves to San Francisco. Again, they open as a short favorite. It's still 1.5 basically across the board. We've moved to 2 at bookmaker, but there's some -1. FanDuel's -1.5, -108. And I think the Niners are a great look.
Yeah, no, I just pulled it up here. Yeah, we're seeing -1.5 across the board. I totally agree. They're like probably my favorite play right now. Bet them last week. Going to keep betting them. I'll take the Mac Jones discount, the injury discount. They're going to find a way to make it work and win games here against teams that are, I think, far worse than they are.
You were talking about having some interest in, again, you like the Colts. It's moved a little bit. There's 3 on Pinnacle, which is interesting. 3.5. And again, we don't hate the Titans, but what are your thoughts there?
It's tough. I think it's probably about right at this point, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not my favorite anymore at 3.5. They're probably still the right side, I think, if they keep playing like how they have. But Cam Ward's gonna win a couple games he shouldn't, and so I don't know if I want to be. I don't know if catching the falling knife is the right word, like term for that, but I feel like it's going to happen, and I don't want to be caught on the bad end of that.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. What jumps out? Any other highlights here?
Yeah, I think let's see here. I was looking at I think Vikings -2.5 or -3 is good against the Bengals. Vikings obviously not starting JJ McCarthy, starting Carson Wentz. Honestly, probably an upgrade right now after how JJ looked. I think they're going to run the ball a ton.
I'm not going to defend JJ here. I'm not going to cape up for him super hard. It was like a 60% pressure rate from Atlanta. No one's doing much with that.
Right.
First home game, he just had a kid. Like, I think there's just like he's probably in his head like spinning a little bit. Like, I missed last year. I get to finally do it in front of the home crowd. I just had a baby. Like, he's like, I think it was just a very tough. And then they go out and they just absolutely live in the backfield. So again, I mean, it wasn't good ball. It wasn't great in Chicago, but I agree that I don't think it's, to your point, I don't think it's much of a downgrade currently. Going to Carson Wentz, but I think JJ, I'm okay with. I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, like I'm not giving up on JJ forever. Like I don't think that it's that. I just like he wasn't playing well, and maybe it wasn't his fault, but it wasn't working. So I don't know how much more of a downgrade we could see a quarterback play, because when he wasn't pressured, he was throwing the ball into the dirt plenty and making overthrows. It wasn't good. So. Yeah, I think Vikings -3. I think they're going to give Browning just a real tough time, honestly, in general. And then I think even if Wentz sucks, like on the ground, I think the Vikings have a pretty significant advantage here, just running the ball with Jordan Mason. So I like that angle there with the Vikings 2.5. Packers Browns under 42.5. I think is real nice. I think the Browns might give the Packers some trouble, honestly, just in general, just like kind of keep things in front of them. And the Packers defense has just been lights out. I mean, so good. We talked about already. And this Browns offense, I mean, like, I don't know how they're going to move the ball consistently, to be honest, really against this Packers defense.
Yeah, they're not. One that feels like super fishy and reactionary, and it has moved, which is, I guess makes me feel a little less fishy on it, because the Falcons were 3.5-point favorites on the road against the Panthers. It was a little shorter in look aheads, but it opened at 3.5, and we've kind of climbed out to 5. FanDuel still has a 4.5. Look, I don't know what traits Bryce Young has that makes you encouraged. The offensive line is now taking on some cluster injuries. That's a problem. And I'm kind of I was buying some of the Falcon stuff, and I felt like maybe I needed to pump the brakes because I felt like I was in my own little like IDP bubble and like rookie bubble. But I really kind of fell in love with a bunch of these Packers rookies, like Billy Bowman Jr. and Xavier Watts, along with, I talked about James Pierce Jr. every show for a month. Jalen Walker showed some juice a little bit. I'm like, am I just kind of in this like rookie mode of like, oh, I like these guys and they all land on the same team, and but they all are balling out. Watts is playing awesome. Billy Bowman's been fantastic in the slot. And then we finally got home with both rookies creating pass rush. Leonard Floyd's there. Like, I'm kind of buying the Falcons a little bit. And I think they're significantly better than the Panthers, but I feel like short week on the road in the division, back-to-back road games, there's some like situational stuff that makes me a little hesitant. But what are your thoughts on Falcons Panthers?
I don't have too much to add there. I mean, they're going to eat Bryce Young alive. Like he can't do anything right now. Ted looked really good in a lot of plays, especially in the first half.
Yep.
He took a lot of plays off in the second half. I was intensely watching that game because had some Tet alts just for fun. Like I was at DraftKings Sportsbook and just like hanging out. So bet some Tet alts. I mean, he was loafing it in the fourth quarter. Like he did not care at all. Bryce Young wasn't even looking his way. Like he knew too. So there's some weird kind of stuff going on there. I think he only saw 1 or 2 targets in like the fourth quarter, and Bryce Young dropped back like 20 plus times. So I don't know. It was weird. We had some weird vibes there for sure. But when he got the ball and when the plays were designed for him, he looked awesome. So I think that's like kind of their only hope to move the ball here. They lost, as you mentioned, 2 interior offensive linemen. So like it's going to be real tough for them to move the ball, I think, against this Falcons team that's been playing really, really well. So yeah, I think Falcons -5 is not a bad look. I don't know. I mean, again, like a road game, Falcons laying 5 against anyone seems like a lot, but it's probably the right side.
Brian mentioned in the chat, AJ Terrell banged up on the outside. Yes, and probably out. And to be honest, I think maybe one of the more overrated corners of the league. It's not that he doesn't matter, but he's, I like a lot of the other pieces there. And thinking about, hey, how in the context of like, they didn't absolutely destroy Minnesota. Like, I'm always very cautious of like extrapolating anything from a Minnesota game because I think they're so unique to play against. So now we're talking about, going up against a Carolina defense that has no punch, no teeth, no pass rush, against even a depleted Minnesota team that had the ability to bring pressure from all levels. And it is, I think, a very, 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 very different thing to try to, draw any corollary lines from what that looked like compared to what we think this matchup is going to look like. That's very, very different piece in my opinion. So, important one, the Broncos and the Chargers. I thought that might move a little bit with how the Chargers played last night. And again, they play with their food a little bit too, but that defense is also really good. Home game, not a huge home field advantage there for the Chargers typically, but any thoughts on Broncos Chargers? 2.5 basically juiced out. We might be cooking to 3, but there are some flat 2.5s.
This is a tough one because I don't know, maybe I'm like a little shell shocked from what we saw the Colts do to the Broncos last week. Yeah. And Pat Surtain did miss some time. Do we have a status update on him? Is he fine? Good to go? I think he came back, right?
He came back. Yeah, I think he'll be okay. But we'll obviously know a little bit more tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, it just might be kind of like a tight, close game here, like in kind of lower scoring. So I don't know. It's one for me that's a kind of a stay away. Like, I think the Chargers obviously look great. Justin Herbert looks great, but I think the Broncos are kind of just like a feisty team that are going to keep chugging along here and find a way outside of, again, leverage, field goals and things like that. So I don't know. For me, it's just a stay away, honestly.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. The totals, I'll do a little more total work.
Yeah. What about the Eagles? Are you buying them at 3 against the Rams?
Rams played them tight last year.
They did. Well, at the end.
Yes.
Like they were winning by like 2.5 scores, maybe.
Yeah.
And then the Rams had like 2 late touchdowns and then almost won the game.
Yeah.
But it was like a snow game kind of ish too, right? It was like a snow weather game, which obviously I think favors the Eagles pretty significantly. So
the problem, that part of why it's viable, and I think it makes sense where we see the line, is that how the Rams want to win is right now kind of where you can attack Philadelphia, like in the secondary when they have, Adoree Jackson out there. It just seems like teams know wherever he is, and that's where they're going for. So, 3.5 on Circa. It's not something I'm dying, and FanDuel actually has it too. There's some 3.5s. Pinnacle already at 3, which I think is interesting too. Bookmaker there too. So, not anything I'm jumping to bet, but I get why someone would take the hook on the Rams side for sure. So another one that's tricky is that the Raiders Commanders game. I wanted to like the Raiders, and then situationally it's tough. They didn't look good. Obviously that's tough. It's a nightmare scheduling wise for the Raiders. West to east, you're having to go short week. And your team you're playing against played on Thursday night. The Commanders at home, they've just been sitting there. So, you obviously have an advantage anyway on the short week coming off of either Thursday or Monday. And now it's combined. So you basically, each of them is getting, extra rest on top of it. So warming up to the Commanders here. I'm kind of down on them in general.
Well, you think Jaden plays, or does that,
that would matter. But that's the fact that, again, that's even out here, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think he's actually in danger of actually missing? Does it read that way to you?
That's what I thought. It seemed like status in doubt. That's was like one of the quotes from yesterday's report, which made me think at least there's a chance. If he does play, I'll be taking some rushing unders for sure on Daniels. Maybe attempts, maybe yards. I don't know what those will be out at, obviously, but I don't think they're going to do any design stuff with him, probably.
Yeah, good call. All right, something to monitor for sure. Fascinated by how the Jets, well, again, we'll have to see concussion status of Justin Fields. But again, teams skew so pass heavy against Tampa Bay historically. The Jets just even in that game against Buffalo refused to skew pass heavy or just,
I wanted
desperate
to
just
take
run the football.
completions under maybe just because like they don't pass the ball that much anyways, and like Tampa Bay is just going to make his life so bad. Maybe it's just sacks or better play. Honestly, like he might take like 5 sacks.
Yeah, it's a rough one. And that was 7.5. So I'm surprised we moved to 7 flat. Yeah, interesting for sure. So Bucks feel like a solid teaser look. If that's your jam, you can definitely make the case for that. I'd be surprised with how the Jets looked last week if they were to go in. They have some injuries in the secondary too, so we'll see what happens there. So injury report on Wednesday will be interesting. So that's it for me.
Sweet. Yeah, I don't have too much else. I think Packers Browns under, Niners -1, probably favorite look ahead right now, or like early one, and then a little Texans Jags under. I think is interesting too.
Yeah, we both like that Niners look. So go ahead and grab that. So
Yep.
All right. Head over to the site, 4for4.com/plans, 7-day free trial on SharpStack. We're looking at the odd screens right now. We have the same odd screens for props. You can look at the EV tool. Again, all sports. So we obviously spend the time looking at NBA, but look, you get WNBA stuff in there right now, market-based projections, already popping some passing yard stuff. You got some early week 3 stuff. I played last night, Devon Achane, over 29.5 receiving yards, which I thought was an absolutely egregious number.
Already up to 37.
Market seems to have agreed. Tough to release that because at the time there were even fewer books, and some of the early limits on a Monday night for a Thursday night game might be a little bit tough. But yeah, I think you used to find a stale 34.5, and I mean, look, they're going to be trailing massively, and he's been a massively, I think, 8 catches and 8 targets or something like that again last week, just like he did the week before. He's a massive part of their passing game. So like that quite a bit. Some ceiling outcomes there, but I feel like I got a week 3 winner in the bag already on a Tuesday morning. So it feels
all the
good.
CLV. Love it. What can
feels
go
good.
wrong now?
No, we're done. Feels good. We're already rolling that in. That money's already spent. So yeah, but check it out. Head to the site, 4for4.com/plans. Free 7-day trial. Even if you're not a 4for4 subscriber, if you want to be a 4for4 subscriber, use promo code MTL for Move the Line, 25% off that discount, which is for any subscription. And again, the SharpStack sub gets you everything. So appreciate everyone hanging out with us today. And then come back, subscribe, Move the Line wherever you listen to podcasts, and 4for4 Live on the YouTube channel. You'll be back with us on Friday for Prop Drop, 3 p.m. Eastern with High Slop. For Connor, I'm Ryan. We'll see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.